Kingdom of Serbia starts in the Balkans. It borders Hungary and its Princedom of Bosnia to the north. In the west, Naples has a foothold in the Balkans through its vassal states. And in the south exists the remnants of the Eastern Roman Empire. Bulgaria starts as a natural ally, sharing religion, culture, and language. In terms of population, Serbia starts with 600,000, you guessed it, Serbians, as well as minorities of Bulgarian and Albanian. The starting monarch is extremely good, and the estates are pretty generic. Noble power starts exceptionally high at 57%. The quickest way to weaken the nobles will be to remove the mercenary contracts, giving 100% power. In terms of levy, Serbia can raise about 6,000 troops. Practically the whole country is in the Dubrovnik market. In terms of control, you can see that in the north and in the east, there's parts of the country that are practically ungovernable. Serbia starts with a ton of silver mines, which is great for early game income, but we're going to have to be a hawk when it comes to inflation. There aren't any major population centres and there are no cities. Diplomacy is going to be essential this run, and that doesn't mean there's not going to be plenty of wars. These are my opening moves as Serbia. Starting off by assigning my cabinet advisors, I'm going to increase legitimacy as well as stability. Serbia doesn't start with any unintegrated lands or anything specific for the advisors to do, so as a result, I think it's pretty efficient just to put them on increasing stability and legitimacy. In the regions that I control, that have 15 control, i.e. the government basically can't govern them, I'm going to convert them into vassal states. The usual mantra is they can govern their own lands independently, they can provide income and levies for the central government, and they generally develop the land better than I will. Serbia starts with a lot of silver, which is good for the early game, but we can't neglect the fundamental economy, which is things like lumber, things like tools, sand, masonry, etc. All of these are input goods for various things, whether it be RGOs, buildings, roads. So the lower the prices for these goods, the lower the price to actually construct the things in the first place. I'm assigning various privileges to my peasant and burgher estates. I want to keep them happy because I'm going to tax them very, very much so. So I'm going to try and keep their happiness around 60-ish%. If there's a reason to play Serbia, I would say it's this event. Basically, we have to conquer northern Greece from the Byzantine Empire with our first monarch still alive. And if that is the case, then Serbia will evolve from a kingdom to an empire. Options for expansion are limited in the early game, so this event is the perfect motivator to begin to look towards the south. The army assembles around the capital and then it will move south into Greek lands. The typical rules apply for fighting this war. Seek out the enemy army, fight it in the field. Once the manpower is depleted of the enemy, begin to siege down enemy fortifications. One of the things that I'm going to go for in this peace deal that I don't normally go for is dismantle fortifications. It's extremely good against the Byzantines because not only do you destroy their castle in Constantinople, you can also destroy their Theodosian walls, which are extremely, extremely potent. It's basically my way of setting up the Eastern Roman Empire to fail. It won't be me to take the lands, but either the Bulgarians or the Turkish Beyliks will come in, and because there's no fortification there, they'll quickly be able to mop up whatever's left of the Byzantine Empire. So all things considered, it was a pretty quick war, annihilated the army and then just full occupy down except for Constantinople. And then obviously I put down the down payment for whoever's up next against the Byzantine Empire in dismantling the fortifications for them. Typically, if you're an empire in the early game, it's because you started as an empire, so to be able to get an event that moves you from kingdom to empire rank is very unique, and it's very valuable because it's going to push your score and potentially make you a great power. The people of Serbia, however, are mountain folk. They don't like outsiders, so all of this land will be converted to vassals. There's absolutely no control there to deal with. So the best thing to do is create independent fiefdoms that can govern the lands on your behalf. Usual rules apply when dealing with vassal subjects. You want to enforce your culture, enforce your religion. It's going to decrease their loyalty, but you can always use your diplomats to improve relations and ensure they remain loyal. Like clockwork, the Turkish Beyliks have moved in to Constantinople, and because there's no Theodosian walls there, they conquer the city 100 years earlier than they normally historically would. So out of the three main countries that I border, Byzantine Empire, Bulgaria, and Hungary, one of them has been removed from the equation already. So the first parliament of the run is called, and I'm going to fabricate a claim on Dubrovnik. Why am I doing this? It's only a single territory vassal state of Venice. Well, it's because the market that my entire country uses is the Dubrovnik market. So naturally, I want to control this territory. This war is the classic example of a naval power fighting a land power. Because I have no ships, I can't attack Venice. Venice can't attack me because I have an army. It basically just comes down to where the war goal is, and it's Dubrovnik. So once that's captured, 25% war score can be used to ticker Venice out of the war. Pretty simple war. After 2 years of siege, Dubrovnik falls, and the war score begins to tick up in the favor of Serbia. In terms of reforms, I'm just generally going for what I do in every run, basically. I want to emphasize crown power and legislative efficiency to change laws. The parliament base support also doesn't hurt either. So Dubrovnik is separately pieced out. I annex the beautiful market city of Dubrovnik, lovely real estate, and then Venice is separately pieced out as well. Venetian ducats entering Serbian coffers mean that I begin to expand the production of paper, books, and eventually libraries. Libraries are important because they increase your pop promotion speed. The Bulgarians go after their neighbour Wallachia, and I'm more than happy for them to do so, because if it's not Bulgaria, it'll be Hungary, so if they can grab as much of that as possible, I'll be happy. Next, Parliament, lots of support, so I'm going to go for a law change, distribution of power to favour the ruler. You'll love to see it, it's great. The memory of the Crusades is leaving a bad taste in my mouth, so I've decided to fabricate a claim on the Duchy of Athens. This is, of course, is a leftover rump state from the Latin adventures in this area of the world. The war against Wallachia is going extremely well. Very low risk, very high returns in terms of the peace deal, so I'm more than happy to get out of this while I'm ahead. In terms of economic development, you want to make sure that masonry is low in price, sand's low in price, lumber's low in price, and the reason why is because you want to build roads. You want to build roads to your gold and silver mines. Connecting them to the capital will increase tax base. Just want to labour the point on vassal states. Looking at diplomacy income, you can see, sure, we're getting war reparations from Venice and Wallachia, but the lion's share of diplomatic income is coming from the fiefdoms, the places that we could not govern ourselves directly, so it's just a fantastic source of early game income. Black Death arrives. I'm going to do pretty standard stuff here. The only thing that I'm going to do differently is I'm going to make my leader go into hiding. And the only reason why I'm doing that is because his stats are just so extremely high. I think it's worth it. Other than that, they're, segregate the infected, either sponsor mass forgivings or present scapegoats. In terms of the Black Death, I'm not at all concerned, simply because of the fact that Serbia is not a high population place. It's in the mountains, it's very remote. There's not a lot of people, so as a result, the Black Death isn't going to have an impact on countries like Serbia compared to other countries in Central Western Europe. I isolated my ruler and it did not pay off. He has sadly passed away. His late Imperial Majesty, who formed the Serbian Empire, has been replaced with a Regency Council, which will last about 9 years. Silver linings though, this gives me time to develop my country economically. Next, Parliament, and the debate under discussion is whether or not to increase the ties to neighbours. This came from the nobles with a base success chance of 46%. I'm really going after success chance I'm not really interested in the issues themselves. I want to change laws. I want to fabricate claims on enemies. Time is running out on whether or not to use this CV, so I roll the dice. I declare war against the Duchy of Athens, who will bring in Sicily and Aragon on their side, so not a guaranteed victory by any stretch of the imagination. I could have let the CB expire and continue to develop economically, but I declared the war since Aragon is actually at war with France. That's tying down their manpower, so I really only have to worry about the Sicilians, and the Sicilians have to get here via transport ship, so even though on paper they have a lot of soldiers, when it comes to the actual tactics and strategy on the ground, hopefully Serbia and its allies have numerical superiority wherever they choose to fight. The Athenians and their allies have chosen to siege down Dubrovnik in the north, while the Serbian and allied force sieges down the fortress just outside of Athens. The wager being made that Aragon wouldn't deploy forces here has turned out to be true. The Sicilians are in the mountains sieging down fortresses they cannot hope to take. It's the perfect time for the Serbians to come in and wipe them off the field. A little bit of war exhaustion from the fact that the Sicilians were able to come in and occupy the coast of Serbia, but I'm more than happy to make that deal because I'm able to take the fortress they have in Greece and as a result remove a fundamental beachhead that they need to deploy their larger armies. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, this war was a close run thing, a lot of very bloody battles in the mountains. The only reason why this war was possible in the first place is because France was tying down the Aragonese armies, and finally they've come into the field now. It's now a mop-up operation, just liberating the territories that have been previously occupied, and we can go for a peace deal. I wasn't able to achieve my goal of fully driving out the Sicilians from Greece, but I'm able to take Athens, I'm able to take the high population territories in the south, which will make a fantastic vassal state. Perhaps even one day the Greeks will convert culture and become Serbians and make it easier for me to annex them later down the road. Who knows? The end of the Black Death is finally here. It claimed 189,000 souls of the country of Serbia. Acceptable losses. Why are they acceptable losses? Because I know the Black Death hit countries like Hungary, countries like Naples, much more harder than it hit me. So you have to bear that in mind. It's not about how much you lose, it's about how much other countries lose as well. Stability investment was getting a little bit too inefficient for my liking, so I've went and spent 140 stability on removing the mercenary contracts from the nobles. In the short term, it's going to be extremely painful for me, but in the long run, it's going to make managing the noble estate much more easy. Lots of early game aggression, lots of antagonism, so I'm more than happy to wait a couple of years, boost my stability, and really focus on developing my economy more. Good news, there's a new emperor now. His father was obviously the one who turned Serbia from a kingdom into an empire. The real question is, what will the legacy be of this new emperor? A combination of factors including ending the regency, having the king assume command of an army, and removing the mercenary contracts from the nobles has meant that the crown power is actually higher than noble power now. So, moving in the right direction. The young emperor clearly has his legacy on his mind, so he's going to use the first parliament of his reign to fabricate a claim against the Turkish Beyliks to the east, who previously conquered the lands of the Byzantine Empire, including Constantinople. To build a true Balkan empire, the Serbians will have to move east to consolidate their hold on their eastern flank on the Bosphorus Straits. This means recapturing Constantinople and ensuring that Orthodox Christianity can thrive in this part of Europe. The opening moves of this war is a war of movement. There's a series of battles that occur on the frontier, all of which are successful for the Serbians, and they can move to attack further Ottoman armies and make their way towards the ancient Orthodox city. During all of this, the Bulgarians were loyal allies. It's very important to keep them on side because as threats emerge, such as Hungary from the start of the game or the Ottomans later in the game. Bulgaria remains a steadfast ally because we share so much in common in terms of language and culture and religion. So just because you can attack the Bulgarians doesn't mean you should, especially when they are such a naturally placed ally. Another consideration is, of course, the vassal states. They aren't just providing income to the monarch, they're also providing levies, and they're actually providing more levies than the crown's army. So they're very important in this war. In the background, the economic development that's going on is reducing the cost of input goods for creating roads, and then actually creating roads between the capital and the gold or silver mines. Yes, it increases inflation, but also it provides a steady stream of income via taxes on the peasant class. And I obviously have them in line because I've given them plenty of privileges, so I'm taxing them at the highest rate, and I'm also keeping them around 60% happiness. The war against the Turkish Beyliks is finally over, and the Serbians take everything west of the Bosphorus Straits. They also took a little bit of land outside of Athens, but the main thing they took was the ancient city of Constantinople, forever known to history as Tsarigrad. The mountain core of Serbia is far, far away from the coasts of the Aegean and the Bosphorus, so these will of course become vassal states with Serbian culture and will provide a beautiful buffer state against any future Turkish invasion of Europe. Serbian's income is starting to look quite healthy. Yes, a lot of the income comes from the vassal states, but also in the background, I'm really trying to juice the economy in terms of silver and gold output. This increases taxation, and it provides income that allows me to develop my burgher class in the various towns around Serbia. The young emperor's tastes for conquest have not been satisfied, so he's going to declare war on the Duchy of Epirus, which was previously a vassal state of the Byzantines. They are truly a servant without a master. They have no military capacity to speak of, and their allies aren't exactly the best folks to be around. So this is going to be a relatively quick war against upstart Greeks who don't recognize the hegemony of the Serbians in the Balkans. While this is going on, the northern frontier is relatively stable. I haven't declared war on Hungary, and Hungary, more importantly, hasn't declared war on me. I've done that by allying with the Bulgarians to increase the military strength of our alliance, as well as improving relations with the Hungarians directly to reduce the risk of war as well. The terms of Moldovan surrender are essentially just give me money, which is fine, and then I can pursue my main target, which is the Duchy of Epirus. More vassal states are created, and Serbian's grip on southern Greece is beginning to tighten the same way it did on northern Greece with Constantinople. There are holdouts, the Sicilians are still there, Naples is still a threat, but generally speaking, Serbia is the predominant land power in the Balkan region. Standard economic rules apply. I've got libraries in every town possible. Remember, it's very important to have libraries because it doubles your pop promotion, essentially, at the start of the game. And then when I have surplus burgers, I'm investing in all the general industries you would invest in for any country, such as tools, cloth, etc. Trade capacity is another thing that I'm boosting because I want to export. I've got lots of resources in the Dubrovnik market. I want to be able to export those and generate revenue from those transactions. So to wrap up, big emphasis on allying with Bulgaria early because they're just your natural ally in terms of culture, language, religion. Vassal states are important because they provide you with the levies, the manpower that you yourself do not have due to control. Your country is in mountains. It's very hard to move around, very hard to get to places and increase control. And expanding the gold and silver mines, but being conscious of inflation and its impact on your country.